Developed, created, and owned by James Pro Artistry Productions. You are now listening to the Perceptive Readers Podcast. The good book kind. Your covers of adornment catches the eye. In your case, people meticulously judge what's inside. To a populace that is still squinting, your looks are cloudy and dusty, while the mind inside brilliantly shines to who sees your attractiveness. What a better spirit many hearts have because of you. It amazes me how you have on a majestic robe every day, fully dressed with glistening gems as your mind shows me. Oh, where would our joy come from without thee? Our moments together are always precious and true. Your mind time and time again just knows what to say and to do. I'm so happy to have met you. The good book is the one of a kind. Allow the beauty of you to be in the eye's mind. God is Love, Just, and Fair, Part 3. Have you ever heard of Wyatt Earp? You know, he is known as really like an American hero, I guess you could say, an American hero. He was a United States Marshal. He was good at what he did, and he was known to not want to, really kill anybody. It's something to be a strong personality, a strong person for justice. He believed in it. And yet, guess what? He was not heavy-handed with meting out justice. He only, basically tried to do what was necessary to get the job done. Now, the real life history of him, he did go through, some hardships, apparently even before he became a U.S. Marshal. And he was a young Marshal too. Remember back then, it seemed like for some persons, depending on what occupation they were in, they really had to pull themselves up from the bootstraps. It seems like as soon as they were 18, 19 years old back in those 1800s and things of that nature. So they were already almost like seasoned professionals by the time they were 26, depending on, what it was. But all the same, Wyatt Earp, in the 1960s, maybe 50s, 60s, for sure. There was a series, and this series, sometimes I wonder, are there still any of the writers left over from that series, the 1960s, but all the same, I want you to know there's been major movie productions, that have come out. I tell you what, there was a time, and he still, is just putting out, excellent work, from, even regular streaming series or TV series right now. But there was one with, Kevin Costner in it. There was another one with, oh my goodness, his name is just on the tip of my tongue. It's not Russell. I have to look that up.
I apologize. But the whole point is there's been major theater productions as well. And I think, from what I can understand, I think they were, well received. Yes, I've actually seen, I think I've seen every theater production of Wyatt Earp or what have you. Yes, he fascinates me. He fascinates me, for a variety of reasons. But we're talking about God is love, just and fair. Um, Hopefully you have heard or read about part 1 and 2, and now that this is 3. And so the introduction, see here with Wyatt Earp, I wanted to mention this first, before we go into part 4, because what is part 4 going to center on? It's going to center on what I've already shared with you about how God, Jehovah God, realized we are dust. See, he is holy and has requirements, and yet he knows when to say when. And in those other 2 accounts, you will see that it is not some type of frivolous or not wanting to bestow mercy or kindness on people either. He actually, as I'm going to share with you now, has a yearning to give people mercy. So when people don't get mercy, they show by their actions that they just really, some would say don't want it. Some will really it just really goes to prove that it's like, boy, I mean, even though that's what mercy is, you don't earn it. But at the same time, man, whatever your actions or a person's actions or outlook can really go to show that, but, you can't even receive mercy because you're just going to be determined to just do what you're going to do or whatever, not knowing when to say when, whatever the situation is that God may be telling you to, don't be like that. Stop doing this. Don't hurt others. Don't do this or what have you. And remember, we talked about God's arch enemy on how he doesn't know when to say when. And so that's the whole point. Are we showing more of a loving, merciful side of God, Jehovah God, or are we, you see, as humans, showing a more unmerciful side or never knowing when to say when and to stop doing whatever it is we're doing, and especially if it's hurting somebody else? Okay. So what we're going to do now is go on to God is love, just and fair, part 4.